took me about 4 or 5 years to finally come up with my Sankalpa. I'm not joking, seriously. So in that meantime, I've had smaller, more like positive suggestions to, until I have found it. And now that I have my Sankalpa, I will still often break it up into smaller intentions. Sankalpa is taught in different ways. Swami Satyananda, it's suggested in your Yoga Nidra to use your Sankalpa, to stick with your Sankalpa, to only use your Sankalpa to put it in the same sentence, same phrase, same wording, and repeat it to yourself until it comes true. And it will come true. And the Sankalpa is used in the same way like an advertising company uses a slogan. So like, just do it. Let's just do it. Nike and loving it.
McDonald's.
Yeah. Okay, at least Joyce got it. I paid her. No, okay, I guess this is maybe a non-McDonald eating class. Maybe not. Okay, so ultimately, the Sankalpa it's an effective way to shape your mind. It's an effective way to reshape your personality along positive lines. Okay, so stage 3 is the body rotation, the rotation of consciousness. So the rotation of consciousness, like internalization, one of its main purposes is to begin to draw the awareness inward. So it's like your mind goes to these different parts of your body. You feel that part of the body. Okay, I've gone there. I can forget about you now. So it's a way of almost boring the mind. It's also, there's other. It was devised to actually correspond with the neural map of the physical body. So there's actually a region of the brain that connects to each part of the body that that receives nerve impulses from your sense receptors, and it lights up. So in that sense, you're clearing these nerve pathways as well. So there's a physical and mental relaxation going on with the body rotation. And the way that this particular Yoga Nidra, that Swami Satyananda designed it, is we're working from gross to subtle. So we're starting with the right hand thumb. We're starting with that right hand, and we're going into each finger. It's not just the right hand. We're actually getting into each finger because that's where so much of our sensory input comes from, is from our hands. And that's one of the reasons we don't leave it out. And that's why even like when we get to the face, it's important that we do touch the tongue, and we do touch these different parts with our mind. The stage 4 is breath awareness. Breath awareness is the kind of the last important stage on inducing relaxation. So this is done in different ways. It can be done as a meditation with different meditations, a japa, following the breath, moving through the psychic channel. It can be just done. I usually teach it with just a awareness on a specific part of the body, specific point of the body, and then a count backwards. And the count backwards I use to help people keep their mind on it, because 9 out of 10 students, this is where I lose them. This is where all of a sudden the snoring starts. So it's a great tool for those of you. Yoga Nidra can be a great tool once you really know how to do it. You can do it on yourself to go to sleep at night. There's rarely a night that I don't go to sleep without going through my body, counting backwards, listening, going through my body again, counting backwards again until I'm gone. It's over and over again.
Yeah, so what she's saying is once you've listened to it a lot, and especially if you're trained in it, you can do it on yourself. You can just mentally repeat the whole.
Yeah, and when I'm doing the practice, I try to do it on a daily basis. It doesn't happen on a daily basis, but I do have days that I'm more at home, that I build it into my day. When my son goes to sleep, I'm going to do it. And on those days, I don't do it on myself because I know I won't wake up. So I use the CD because, like we said at the beginning, where your mind is on even when you're asleep. At the end of that CD, when my teacher on the CD says, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, 9 out of 10 times I get up. I will say sometimes I do just kind of turn it off and roll to my side. But there's still that part of you that's accessing. And I just think that is so crucial. And once I learned that, it was like, there's no more going to sleep with the TV on. There's no more falling asleep with because I don't know what's going on. I don't need infomercials playing in my subconscious. If anything, you want maybe positive affirmations or something that's going to be uplifting. Okay, so we're up to stage 5. So stage 5, opposites. So this is where we start to leave the essential stages. So far the essential stages were internalization. Sankalpa is not considered an essential stage, although to me it is an essential stage, but it's not considered one of the essential stages. The body rotation and breath awareness, and then externalization is the 4 essential stages. So now we start to move into the deeper parts of the practice. So opposites is when during the practice opposite emotions are brought up or opposite sensations. Today I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. We're just gonna work with sensations. But there's a few purposes of this stage. One of the main purposes is that you feel these opposite emotions, and you observe them as a witness. So it's an opportunity to feel your body really, really hot and not be affected by it, to feel your body really, really cold and not be affected by it. And same with the emotional state. So working on that witness quality. The other part of the opposites is that it can trigger memory centers, so it can bring up, again, some of these memories, samskaras. It can bring up all kinds of things. And sometimes it can bring up in a color, it could bring up in an image, and it could bring up in a huge sensation of feeling, and you don't know what it is, and your mind might want to get involved, and you might want to dissect it, you might want to know what just came up, what was that, what happened to me, what was that trauma that happened to me when I was 5 years old. It doesn't matter. That's one of the things too that I love, is that it actually doesn't matter. It's gone. Let it go. And that's part of the practice of developing that witness, is to be able to distance yourself from whatever arose. So same with visualization is a little bit more on opposites. It works with the hypothalamus. So that's the part of the gland in the brain that regulates. It's part of the autonomic nervous system, so it's part of the nervous system that normally we don't have control of. So again, regulating temperature, and it teaches you to start to be able to actually do that yourself. So that can be a great tool. So it teaches you to be able to do that when you're not in yoga nidra. Let's say you're really hot, because I don't turn the air conditioning on high enough for you in yoga class, and you're able to cool yourself down. There's been studies of Zen monks who have slept on ice and they can keep themselves warm enough. Same idea. So then the next stage, the 6th stage, visualizations. So visualizations is its primary purpose, again, is to be a catalyst for these memories, these samskaras to arise. And again, it's the same idea. We want to make sure you keep that witness quality. Everything that we experience, again, leaves an imprint on our mind. So again, let it come up. It doesn't matter what it is. The idea here is to start to root out the imbalance. I'm sure that many of you here believe that at some level, whether it's physical, just anxieties or stresses, that it can do damage to our body. We can actually make ourselves sick. I don't think that that's always the case, but I think that there is an element of that. And our culture really just treats the sickness, but it doesn't treat the root cause of the sickness. So this is trying to get in there and root it out. And again, root it out in a way where you don't have to go in and dissect and say, well, what was that and why did that happen? But just let it go. Okay? And then we come back to the Sankalpa. Okay? So what was Sankalpa again? Intention. Okay? So when you plant, the idea is it's like you're planting a seed. Okay, so you say the Sankalpa once or earlier in the practice. You repeat it to yourself in a simple phrase. One thing Joyce was asking at the beginning, do you say I am happy or I will be happy? And honestly, from my personal experience of working with different students, it's what you feel is your truth. So for me, I can't just say I'm happy, because I'll be like, no, I'm not. I have to say I will be happy, or I will be healthy, or I will heal. What's important here is that you put it into that same wording, same intonation. So you planted at the beginning, and now here you are at the Sankalpa again. Your mind is in this deep state of relaxation. You're in that place right between sleep and wake where you could lucid dream. You were just lucid dreaming in your visualizations. In your visualizations, and your mind is receptive. And it's ready for it's ready for you to imprint. So it's like you're watering that seed now. You're watering it. And then externalization. So important, so easy for me to not do as long as needed. Why would externalization be so important?
You have to come back.
Yeah. So what happens if you don't? What happens if I'm just like, okay, get up, bye, see you guys later?
Danger.
Yeah, I mean, you might forget your
Not
shoes.
grounded.
You might leave your. That's when you leave your. When you leave a yoga class and you're like, you leave and the mat's still there and your keys and you're like, where'd my water bottle go? You were internalized and you didn't get brought back out and brought back into this world and onto this ground. And so internalization works where we went from super obvious to subtle. We do the opposite now. So now we start listening to the sound of the breath, listening to your heartbeat. Okay, let's bring it out a notch. Listen to the sounds inside the room. Okay, let's bring it out. Listen to the sounds outside. Okay, feel my body on the ground. Oh, that's my breath moving in my body. Oh, okay, I'm here. And then hopefully there will be a long enough time to really come out of it. So ultimately, Yoga Nidra, it's a powerful practice. It increases vitality. It can enhance the immune system. It can just bring about overall healing. And it's been used therapeutically across the board from, I used it during my prenatal, when I was pregnant. It's used, again, where I've used it most successfully is at the cancer support community. I mean, that's why people came to that class, was because they needed that deep rest and that deep recharge. I've used it for myself, for the visualizations. Another thing you can do for visualizations is to actually use it as visualizing, health. So I have some gastrointestinal stuff, so I'll visualize a healthy colon. So it's been used for chronic pain. It's used for kids with behavioral problems. And if you think about it, especially now we're so all the computers and the technology, and it's there's so much stimulation that even just the body rotation, even if you just do that, you don't even do the whole Yoga Nidra practice, but that's gonna start to bring that awareness, that stimulation, that's gonna let that go and start to bring you back in. And insomnia, drug addiction, alcoholism. I mean, you basically name it. And you can even see, so even now, so Yoga Nidra, there's so many different branches off now of Yoga Nidra. So Richard Miller has taken Yoga Nidra, and his thing is I rest, and so he works a lot now with he's added a lot of his layers of his work to it, but working with the
veterans.
Yeah, veterans, people with PTSD. I mean, there's so many, and there's other teachers, you sent me an article of another teacher who, there's so many places that you can go with it, kind of once you have that foundation. And so, enough of talk, do we have time for any questions, or do we have to keep moving?
Yeah, we're going to have a period at the end for questions now, but if you have any that came up, feel free to call them out.
I have a question about using this in terms of creativity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely. It is known to inspire creativity. Did you have a more specific one,
No,
more
but
specific
I found
answer? Or?
that state between wake and sleep to be a very creative
Yes.
state. So that's why I'm here.
Yes.
I want to
I think and that was, again, like the Yoga Nidra book definitely goes into that more, but it is in there. I mean, it is used to inspire creativity.
And also Satyananda, who was teaching at the school, he had very problematic teenagers who, didn't learn, didn't study, and yet he would read the Bhagavad Gita and lessons to them while they were sleeping, when they were in that deep kind of alpha state. And they learned, and one of his most troublesome students went on to get a degree and learn a bunch of different languages. And he never picked up, he never applied himself to study.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, so this is Swami Satyananda on the right here, and then these are his successors. So this is Swami Naranjananda, and that is Swami Satsangi. Yeah. So that's the little rascal that she was talking about.
Oh, that's the guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lived at the ashram from the age of 4 years old, as a pupil of Swami Satyananda's, and now he's
Oh my goodness.
60? 1960? 50? 54? But anyway, there he is now.
Any other questions?